Hi there. Welcome to Best of Preps Pigskin Picks with Bruce and Matt. I'm Herald Review Managing Editor Matt Hickman, joined by our sports editor Bruce Wetton, and it is just about to be that time for high school football to take over the Friday nights all over Cochise County and everywhere else. Tonight we have a huge one. Berean, coming off their state championship last year, undefeated run, have their home opener at 7 p.m. tonight at Hampton Field against. Tell us a little bit about their opponent, Bruce.
Mesa Heritage Academy is the other division champion. Marines Division I state champion. Heritage Academy is the Division II. They're division up. They were 10-0 last year, and in the two playoff games that they had, Mesa Heritage Academy outscored their opponents 92-6.
Wow, that's something. I mean, Berean was dominant. I don't know if they were that dominant.
No, they weren't. This is going to be a battle tonight, and it's going to be probably the most major. Somebody's unbeaten streak is going to end tonight.
That's for sure, and that'll be interesting to check out. 7 o'clock, check that out. This is week 1 kicking off tonight. The other game that was supposed to kick off tonight was Tombstone. They were supposed to be on the road at a school in Phoenix, but I understand that game's had to be postponed.
Tombstone was going to be at Heritage Levine Academy in Levine,
mm-hmm.
and I guess Heritage Levine, when they play, they borrow a field.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened today where that field is now unavailable. So Coach texted me this afternoon around 2 p.m. telling me, hey, our game's been scrubbed to Friday night at 7 p.m. at an alternate location. And I don't know where they're going to play yet, but I know they're playing Friday night somewhere up in Phoenix or Levine area.
That sounds tricky because it seems like it'd be easier to get a field on a Thursday night than a Friday night. And speaking of Levine, Buena is going to be up there at Betty Fairfax in Levine for their season opener in the Class 5A. Last year, Buena destroyed Levine 40-0. Levine went on to be winless. But what are you looking for out of Buena? Because they come in with a lot of expectations.
This is probably my most intriguing team of the season. I want to see what they do. I got this team going 8-2, if not 7-3. They got a load of talent with Nash Moore, and then of course the other running backs with Charlie Price, and a few other key players that I really think this team has the potential to be really a dominant team. The question is, can they beat Marana? That's the hurdle to the 5A.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've got them more at 8-2 to 9-1 because I think Marana is a really tough one, especially on the. Well, I mean, they didn't do them any good being at home last year, but Cienega is a team that they just can't ever beat. But they certainly have the horses to be able to do it, and I just don't see any of their losses on there, especially if they, with as much maturity as they have.
I'm so impressed with the job that Joe Thomas has gotten done with this team, and especially with the summer workout. These guys have been committed. They've been dedicated all summer. And we've been out there 2 or 3 times during the summer, and I've seen 35 to 40 kids out there every time I go out there. So I'm looking forward to watching Buena play, and I'm looking forward to even more so to watching them back at home. And but I think we've all got that Marana game circled on the calendar.
I mean, you can't look ahead, and
you can't.
And Buena, they're gonna come out with certainly should come out with a win out at Fairfax. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out a little bit tense with all these expectations and all that excitement. If they started slow, maybe even fell behind a little bit, but I don't see how there's any way they don't win going away.
Well, they won 40-0 last year, and they're going into the opponent's field this year. So like you said, it could be maybe Betty Fairfax has a new coach. They got some new players they brought in. So maybe they're going to be up for the task, but that's why you play the game.
Yeah, and talking to Joe Thomas, he says Fairfax is pretty good at other sports, which is sometimes if you're trying to build a program, you got athletes that are good and successful in other sports, it's a little easier to pull from. So we'll check that out. And then Buena play its home opener next Friday against Ironwood Ridge. But the big game to watch next week will be Bisbee and Douglas. But those are 2 teams that are looking ahead to that matchup, but they got big games Friday night that they can't be looking ahead. What's Douglas got?
Well, first of all, I was in Bisbee last night. And I was in Douglas talking to the coaches the night before, and both coaches have told me, no, we're not looking ahead. We're zeroed in on this game this week because we can't afford to look ahead. So Douglas is actually hosting a 3A school, American Leadership Academy. Ironwood, thank you. And they're actually coming to Douglas, and ALA Ironwood beat them last year 28-2. ALA Ironwood actually qualified for the 3A state playoffs, got to the semifinals, and lost. So they're a very formidable opponent that's very capable of beating. Plus, again, it's ALA, American Leadership. And anybody that knows the history of that school knows they have predominant athletic programs, especially in the sport of football. So I think Douglas is going to have a tough task on hand.
But at the same time, this game last year, 28-2. But that was Ivan Higuera, their sophomore quarterback, hadn't really come into his own then, right?
That was game 2 of
Yeah.
10 last year, so he was just coming around. So I think the fact is that it's in Douglas this year. Ivan's a little bit more mature. He's had all summer to grow, and I asked him in his interview, I said, "What's your biggest strength?" He said, "My football IQ." He said, "I've gotten more aware of what's expected of me and what to do on the field." And so I think his IQ awareness is going to be key tomorrow night. They got Jason Hurtado and JD Hurtado, cousins that are going to run the ball. And then you got some receivers. Michael Hudson, another one that's been standing out in practice all summer. So it's going to be a very interesting game to see how this game does. And I actually have this game as a pick'em game. As much as my sentimental favorite is Douglas, I don't know what ALA is bringing to Douglas tomorrow night. But I know Friday night I'll be at Armando de Lucas Stadium, and we'll have a first report as soon as I can get out on the internet following the game.
Okay, so the next takes us over to Bisbee. They have Tonopah Valley, is that right?
No, actually.
Oh, I got them all backwards.
Yeah.
That's Wilcox.
Bisbee goes to...
I got it right here. Right here, if you read your Herald Review, we have all this. They are at, one second there, they are at, Phoenix Madison Highland.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. They played them last year, didn't they?
That was a game that was so unusual, Matt. Madison Highlands from Phoenix. They drove down 4 hours to play 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the game the rain hit. The game got stopped, and then they had to wait 2 weeks to play the other 3.5 quarters
on a Saturday, right?
No, actually on a Monday.
On a Monday,
because it made my day perfectly. Because I actually, I picked up a Monday afternoon football. I got some great pictures with afternoon football.
So yeah, when they did finally play, Bisbee ran away with it pretty easily.
40-22 was the final. And it was scoreless. No, it wasn't scoreless. Bisbee ran the opening kickoff back, so they were already up 6-0 when that happened. But again, talking to Carlos Lopez Wednesday night in Bisbee, Madison Highlands much improved. Again, key players, mature players, and he's saying the same thing. He said, "We can't take this team lightly." Yeah. He said, "We got to go in focused, prepared." Sebastian Lopez, our Player of the Year last year, who's featured on the cover of the Sunday edition of the Herald Review. He's one of our 4,000-yard passers, plus he's a 1,000-yard rusher. So Sebastian has to do what Sebastian does, and that is run and throw. And his targets, Miles.
Don't worry about it. He's got targets.
He's got targets. Has to get open. Yeah.
Well, so who do you like in this one? I mean, like you have Douglas as being a pick'em in this one, even though they lost last year sizably. This one, Bisbee. Do you have a pickup? You have Bisbee in this one. You're really confident in that one.
No, I've watched this team all summer. I've probably been to about 7 or 8 practices of the summer team, and even last night, they're focused. They are extremely focused. I don't think they are looking ahead to Douglas. It's in their minds. I know it because every time I go there, how's Douglas looking? And it's like, well, and they said, no, we got this game first, so we're going to be okay. And so I think Bisbee's going to prevail, and I say, if it's closer than 18, I'll be surprised.
Okay, so we're setting the line at 8. Bisbee minus 18. We'll see if they can handle that. That'll be interesting to watch. So let's go on up north a little bit in Cochise County, up in Benson, a big one.
Yes.
Benson has a new coach, Chris Rasmussen. Sounds like he's got the whole town fired up, and I'm sure they'll have a great turnout Friday night when they host Phoenix Christian, one of the most traditionally dominant small school private schools in Arizona.
This is his first home game as a head coach, and he is super excited, hoping the hometown crowd will come out, energize the team. I'm sure he's going to have a sleepless night tonight. Mm-hmm. He'll be so jazzed for tomorrow. And I'm anxious to see how Benson will stack up against Phoenix Christian. I know you're going to be there, and you're going to be able to get a firsthand analysis of what this team looks like, because I have not seen anything from Benson. I know they got a new quarterback in Dawson Judd, who replaced Dalton Crockett, 1,000-yard passer last year. So Dawson has some big shoes to fill, but if anybody can fill them, it's him.
And Phoenix Christian, yeah, like I said, a traditional powerhouse in the 2A. They played Tanca Verde in week 1, well, week 0, I guess we should call last week, and they beat them 26-13 in Tucson. And Tanca Verde was a strong team in the 2A South last year. But what does that 26-13 score, a close game, tell you about Benson's chances? After Benson went into Phoenix Shadow Mountain, which used to be a big school, and beat them 27-10, what do those scores tell you?
It doesn't tell me anything, because Tanca Verde lost a lot of players. And they were actually senior heavy last year, and they went on to win the 2A San Pedro region. last year. No, I take it back. Wilcox got him.
Mhm.
Wilcox got him. They finished second. And so
So you're saying it's possible that could bode well for Benson because you think Tankerverde is not as strong as they were last year.
I don't think Tankerverde is as strong as they were last year. And with Benson right now and the momentum they're riding from the new coach and the town's momentum, that 12th man, is so huge. And I think it'll play a factor Friday night in Benson. And could the Bobcats prevail? They could.
And Benson, they turn out fans turn out well. I mean, it is the event every Friday night in Benson, so they're going to have a crowd.
I have been at every single stadium in the last 2 years, and Benson has the best crowds of anybody, and they have the best lighting for photographers too. Trust me, I love shooting under field because I don't have to push my camera so hard.
Right. Okay, so let's move it on down I-10 East a little bit. Wilcox coming off an 18-16 thriller up in Phoenix against Arizona Lutheran Academy. They're at home now. They're the ones playing Tonopah Valley. Take us back to last year. What were both these teams doing?
Tonopah, they actually last year beat Wilcox 45-42 at Tonopah. They had a winning record. They went on to the playoffs, lost in the first round. And so they won last week at Morenci 35-34.
Wow.
I've played at Morenci, and that stadium is a very hostile environment to play. And so I don't give a dang if it was the 80s or 2000s. Mm-hmm. That stadium is still the same. And to go into Morenci and come out with a win says a lot about Tonopah. So I don't think Wilcox can take this team lightly. But again, with a new coach and the town support of the town coming out, the home opener for the Cowboys, this is going to be a very interesting matchup that I'm literally looking forward to following and seeing who prevails. But keeping my fingers crossed that Cochise County comes out on top of this game, because it'd be nice to have Wilcox, who last year began the year 0-3, begin this season 2-0.
Yeah, and our reporter Hector Acuna will be out there checking out that game, so it'll be interesting to see what we can glean from his reporting on that. Then let's drop down real quick to the 1A. Valley Union lost last week, 40-36, but their starting quarterback is out with a bad foot. They had a backup, came in, played tough, but lost 40-36. They're off. But St. David is on, and they play on Saturday, right?
That's a very unusual game because there's no officials.
Right.
Cochise County is spread so thin that last year I was at a game in Tombstone, and the officials were from Safford. Yeah. So there was no officials to play on Thursday, no officials to play on Friday, no officials to play Saturday morning because of youth football.
Oh, my.
So St. David's playing Bobby Keevery at 7 p.m. Saturday night at St. David. So Bruce is going to be there. And I want to check out this freshman quarterback that St. David has from Texas and see if he's living up to the hype that Braden Davis has bragged about. And it kind of works out because I don't have 7 games on Friday night. Now I've got one less game, and I can focus on that game on Saturday night. And it'll give me a chance to go there and really check out the Tigers, take some file photos, and get a feel for how good this team is. I see this game going running clock. And by running clock, it happens when the team is up by 42 points or more. And it can be in the first half. And if they score 42, and I think it'll be 42 points by halftime. So hopefully it'll be a fast game. But I see St. David being 2-0. They're coming off a 60-6 win last week over Cicero Prep, which was a huge win. And it was a breakout game for this quarterback who threw for 149 yards and 5 touchdowns last week. So
that's and so the other thing that happened last week is we believe we had some history made, right? We had the first female touchdown scored on a running play to actually run to pay dirt in Arizona high school history, as far as we know, right?
That has not been confirmed. We can confirm for a fact that she's the first female in St. David history.
Okay,
the first female in AIA and Cochise County history.
Okay,
we had the young lady from Berrien last year,
right?
Liliana, who scored the touchdown for Berrien, but that was through the Canyon Athletic Association, right. So entirely different. And Caitlin Patton is her name. She's a sophomore, and that's another reason I'm going is I want to make sure I get some shots of her because I see her scoring again.
Yeah, I mean they start running it up. I mean, there are lots of touchdowns. One of them could be hers, especially in a game that's kind of maybe out of control.
Well, that's what happened last week because they were up ahead. And so they had in the second stringers. And so she scored the final touchdown of the game and got her name into the record books.
All right. Well, I think we've made our rounds around Cochise County. Is there anyone I've forgotten? Any games Friday night that we need to talk about that we haven't?
No. American Leadership Academy Service is playing tonight. as well. They're up in Phoenix. First year program. Really a lot of unknowns about this program. Last I checked, they only had 16 kids,
Right.
one senior, one junior, and the rest were sophomores and freshmen. So no disrespect towards ALA Sierra Vista, but I think this is going to be a rough year for them to get started. But that's how Marine started 2 years ago. They had a rough. I think they only won 2 games the first year. And but the intriguing thing is for ALA Sierra Vista is in 2 weeks on the 19th, they're hosting another first year program that's making its debut. So there's very possibility that somebody's going to get their first win on the 19th.
Okay.
So I got to figure out where they're going to play. Are they going to play in Sierra Vista, or are they going to play at an alternate location? And then I'll be there for that one because there could be history there too. So we've got 10 high schools going playing football right now. So Matt,
and we're going to be adding another with girls flag football at Buena coming out September 15th. Is that
17th.
17th, September 17th.
September 17th against Tucson High at Buena High School. And I had to laugh, Matt, because I've been covering sports 38 years. This is my first time I've ever covered girls flag football.
Yeah, it's the fastest growing sport in the world. It's in the Olympics.
And I'm looking forward to watching them. I mean, I've seen those. They have 40 girls out for girls flag.
I saw a story from the Nogales International. They were really they're big in numbers, a lot of excitement. I think this is going to be a really legit sport. I think it's going to be it's going to be quality.
Well, it's funny because I've talked to the 2 girls that are playing tackle football, and I said, "Do you want to play flag?" And they said, "No."
Yeah,
It's not physical. It's not physical enough. They like the physicality. So I mean, but Buena has some athletes. They have some athletes that are out playing, and so I think Buena's going to surprise some teams this year. So that's probably my most interesting, intriguing, anticipated event coming up, is because I cannot wait for that day to get here. Be a Tuesday, and anxious to see what happens.
All right. Well, fantastic stuff, Bruce. So all you out there, get out Friday night football. Get out there if you're in Sierra Vista. Go check out this Berean game. It sounds like it's going to be quite a matchup between defending undefeated state champions from last year. So you want to check that out Friday night. A bunch of games. Find a game near you. Friday Night Lights can't be beat. For sports editor Bruce Wetton, I'm managing editor Matt Hickman. Have a good day.